as the sun rises over the harbor. Ships crowd the waters of New York. This is the 19th century, a time when a young city begins its transformation into a global metropolis. New York is a city of arrivals, ambition, and constant change. Today, we step back into New York in the 1800s, reconstructed through historical maps, photographs, and first-hand accounts. At the beginning of the 1800s, New York is still a compact port city centered at the southern tip of Manhattan. Fewer than 100,000 people live here. Most buildings are low-rise, made of brick or wood. The streets are narrow, crowded, and often unpaved. Horse-drawn carts, street vendors, and pedestrians compete for space. The harbor is the city's lifeline, connecting New York to global trade routes and bringing in the goods and people that will redefine it. Throughout the 1800s, millions of immigrants arrive in New York. They come from Ireland, Germany, Italy, Eastern Europe, and beyond, fleeing famine, poverty, and political unrest. This massive wave of migration transforms the city's social fabric. By mid-century, New York is one of the fastest-growing cities in the world. To house this booming population, developers raced to build tenement housing, creating a new, dense urban landscape. Life in these tenements was harsh. Entire families crowded into small, poorly ventilated apartments, often without access to clean water or basic sanitation. Disease spread quickly through these overcrowded and unsanitary conditions. Children were not spared, with many working long hours in factories, workshops, or on the streets to help their families survive. Yet, amidst this hardship, vibrant and resilient communities formed. Immigrants created tight-knit neighborhoods, preserving their languages, cultures, and traditions, and building support networks to navigate their new lives. New York's growth was fueled by an explosion of industry and commerce. The city became a manufacturing powerhouse, with factories churning out clothing, machinery, and all kinds of consumer goods. The completion of the Erie Canal in 1825 was a game-changer, connecting the port of New York to the vast resources of the American interior. Goods began to flow through the city at an unprecedented scale, cementing New York's status as the undisputed commercial capital of the United States. Alongside this burgeoning industry and widespread poverty, enormous fortunes were being made. Industrialists, railroad magnates, and financiers built grand mansions along the newly fashionable Fifth Avenue, creating a world of luxury that stood in stark contrast to the squalor of the tenements just blocks away. New York became the heart of American finance, home to powerful banks, insurance companies, and the stock exchange. The gap between the city's richest and poorest citizens widened dramatically, sparking outrage and a growing movement for social reform. Activists began to push for new labor laws, better housing regulations, and public health improvements to address the profound inequality. Such rapid, chaotic growth inevitably brought disorder. Certain neighborhoods fell under the control of powerful gangs, and corruption was rampant in city politics, with political machines like Tammany Hall wielding immense influence. In response to rising crime and public outcry, the city's police force was expanded and professionalized. This era became a testing ground for modern urban governance, as reformers battled corruption and attempted to impose order on a city that often felt like it was bursting at the seams. To support its ever-expanding population and economy, New York embarked on massive infrastructure projects that reshaped the urban landscape. Streets were widened, paved, and lit with gas lamps. Central Park, a radical idea at the time, opened in 1858, providing a vital green oasis in the heart of the increasingly dense city. Elevated railways, a marvel of engineering, were constructed to transport people across the sprawling neighborhoods. These projects laid the foundations of the modern metropolis we know today. By the late 1800s, New York was not just an economic center, but a cultural powerhouse. The city was alive with the energy of countless newspapers, theaters, and music halls. Its identity was constantly being reshaped by the diverse immigrant communities who brought their own unique arts, foods, and perspectives. More than just a place on a map, New York became a powerful symbol of opportunity, of struggle, and of the complex, often contradictory, American dream taking root in its crowded streets. By the end of the 19th century, New York had transformed into a true world city. Its skyline, once low and modest, was beginning to rise toward the sky. Its population had surged, and its influence was felt across the globe. The very forces that shaped it during this pivotal century, migration, industry, and relentless ambition, continue to define it today. This was New York in the 1800s, a city in constant motion, reconstructed from the pages of history. Thank you for watching.